Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character listener by me. So let's get into it. Wriothesley. Wriothesley was very beautiful. And sometimes he just has to go and fight someone off. It's a bit of a duel, but with his own fists, and it's nice. Keeps people in their place and teaches them not to mess with him. And also, it gets out their anger, which is something that's very useful and helpful, especially if you're running a place that is similar to a prison. So, sometimes when he goes to fight and comes back to his office and you'll be sitting there, and he would take off his shirt and let out a sigh of exhaustion as he sat down on his chair. You couldn't help but keep staring at his chest, the way the sweat glistened on it. He definitely needed a shower, that was true, but he looked so hot when he was fighting in that ring. You couldn't stop yourself from staring at him. And right now, to just go in here and stay shirtless, that was evil, because you couldn't just keep yourself from staring and wanting to do much more. But he knew now was not the time. He needed to rest. And you were not someone who was very bold. Not when it came to Wriothesley. It was easier for him to flirt with you to the point where you would be a blushing mess. And it didn't take much for him to do that. So on the other hand, you decided to do what felt appropriate and what wouldn't embarrass you too much. You went over to him, wrapped your arms around him, and pressed a soft kiss to his cheek, smiling. So, how do you feel, Wriothesley? I feel well. I'm not sure why you're asking. You've been staring like you haven't seen me for ages. What's wrong? He asked. Although he knew what exactly was wrong, he knew how you were acting, and he was enjoying it. So, instead of giving him what he wants, you just pouted and looked away. And he chuckled, going over to you and wrapping his arms around you, pulling you close against him. Come on. There is no reason to stare at my chest like that. If you want me to take my shirt off in the future, you can always ask. It was safe to say you were beyond embarrassed. But also, it was good to know you could ask when you wanted. Neuvillette. He was walking in the rain, and when he came home to you, he just decided to take off his shirt. It was simple like that, but it was not something you had often seen. You don't usually see him shirtless, considering the many layers he wears. And even while at home, he prefers to wear pajamas and a robe. So it's not easy to see that skin beneath all these things. So now, as you sat down on the couch and stared at him like a hawk, you had no idea what to do, but you knew very well what he wanted, and that was your hands all over him. He was very pretty, beautiful, and perfect in every way, so it was very difficult to be with him when he was unaware of that. But right now it didn't matter. You knew you were going to have to take action if you were not going to think about this moment for the next week. Actually, if you do something, you will still think about it, but at least you would have no regrets. And that's why I went toward him and wrapped an arm around him, pulling him close. Neuvillette, do you know how dangerous it is to just go around like that? Dangerous? What do you mean? I am afraid I don't understand. What do you mean dangerous? Dangerous as in, you're too beautiful, and I can't help myself, you say, leaning up to kiss his chest, and he blushes, freezing in place. He had no words to say or anything, because he was just trying to process this, to see what happened. It was a bit overwhelming, and he was a very easy person to overwhelm, especially when it came to you. So do give him some time. just to be able to come back from this. And after that, you may just give him another kiss, although he won't be still startled by it. Scaramouche. He already wears skin-tight clothing, so it's a bit, well, it's a cause for you to stare, but you don't want to say that. You don't want to sound shameless, but sometimes you could be. However, it did not make this any easier on you. In fact, it was very difficult, because right now he looked ever closer, and you felt like all you needed to do was reach out and touch. Just that. But the way you looked at him, and the way he stared right back at you like you were just being ridiculous, it was a little bit funny to say the least. What? Stop staring like you're some animal, for God's sake. Me? Animal? Scaramouche, you're being ridiculous. I don't even know how you could say something like that. Ridiculous? The only ridiculous being here is you. I don't even know why you're acting that way. You've been staring for far too long. Enough now. Oh? But, you know what? Fine. I'll stop staring. You say, but for some reason, it felt a little bit suspicious. And he was right to think that way because you stopped staring. But then, you went over to him, wrapped your arms around him as he was shirtless, and then you left a soft kiss at the top of his chest, trailing those kisses down and down until he pushed you away, blushing brightly. At least give me a warning next time. What are you even thinking? Oh, Scara, you said you didn't want me to stare, so I was doing something else other than staring. Well, next time, at least ask, he says. It's not that he didn't approve of it, or felt uncomfortable or anything. He was just startled and very shy, and he was not used to you being so bold. But damn, maybe being shirtless in front of you really did some things. Well, it didn't matter much because he was certainly going to put his shirt on right now. And as for you, you got what you wanted. You do ask him if he was fine or if you made him uncomfortable, and he has to ever so shyly say that no, that was not the case. He was simply shocked, that was all. In the future, if you desire to do something ever so similar, please, just be a little bit slow and give him a warning while you're at it. He does think of what you did for a while, and it makes him blush for the rest of the day.